James Bell of the Boxing Source here with another video, just following up in the aftermath of the main event at the Barclays Center between Adam Kownacki and Chris Arreola. You had Adam Kownacki scoring the unanimous decision win over Chris Arreola in this particular bout, and I'm just kind of pretty impressed about the overall performance of both of those guys. They just carried out a back and forth fight of sorts for most of the particular fight, um, with Adam Kownacki winning by the scores of 118-110 and two scores of 117 to 111. The main story coming out of this bout, of course, is the amount of punches that was scored by CompuBox total, as it was over 2,000 total punches in a heavyweight fight. You had 1,125 total punches thrown by Chris Arreola and 1,047 thrown by Adam Kownacki. And combined, that is a record at the heavyweight division in CompuBox's history. Uh, and I thought that this fight would have been a fairly easy bout, I felt, for Adam Kownacki. If you were able to catch the preview that I had before the fight took place. But Chris Arreola came to fight. Dan Goosen had him prepared. He looked fairly well in this particular bout as far as taking the punches from Adam Kownacki. We know that Adam Kownacki is a volume puncher, and he definitely showed that in this fight. He was able to catch Arreola with a few good punches early, but Arreola was game after the first round and threw a few good punches back. And you just saw, pretty much as they were saying over the course of this fight, it was a phone booth type of a fight between these two guys. And for Chris Arreola, that was a very game performance from him in order to throw a total of 1,125 punches, but wasn't enough to keep Adam Kownacki off of him, and that Kownacki was still right there in his face throwing punches and throwing punches. The best thing that Chris Arreola did in this particular bout to prevent being in serious trouble and being knocked down or knocked out or having the fight stopped is keeping Kownacki close to him, to smother his punches or to stop the activity from Adam Kownacki. Because when Kownacki was at a distance, that's when he could throw most of his punches at full range and be able to tag Chris Arreola the way that he did. But good fight, good little performance overall from those two guys. You have Adam Kownacki. He said after the fight he's going to see what's out there for him here in the future. Of course, he wants to see if he could contend for a world title sometime next year. But we know what the world title situation is there in the heavyweight division. So as far as being open for a title shot, that might not be possible until maybe this time next year for Adam Kownacki. In the reference of Chris Arreola, we were talking about what would happen from this fight if he lost this fight, that he would consider retirement. But there was a lot of gassing up there after the fight in reference to his performance in throwing over 1,000 punches. But it just basically depends on the opponent that he faces there. I mean, he said that he loves those phone booth type of fights where you pretty much stand toe to toe against the opponent and just throw punches. But if he goes up against an opponent that maybe has a long range, like he had there against Klitschko and against Deontay Wilder, that he would not have that much success against those type of opponents. So who knows what this next direction would be for Chris Arreola. you saw that during the fight that they called Chris Arreola pretty much like a gatekeeper, but he doesn't look like he wants to be that type of a fighter here at this particular point of his career. So him having another fight against maybe somebody that is around that prospect range, so to speak, there in the heavyweight division, he might not be that interested in fighting those type of guys here at this particular point of his career. So maybe I would say a guy like a Efe Jagba that could be another potential guy that people are seeing as who could be a contender in the future. They could probably try to make a fight between a Jagba and Chris Arreola, but I don't think Chris Arreola would be interested in a fight like that at this particular point of his career. So we may see that this could be Chris Arreola's last fight there. But good performance overall from those two guys. We're gonna see what happens here next for Adam Kownacki and Chris Arreola. Of course, he had the co-feature bout with Marcus Brown and John Pascal, where John Pascal scored the upset win via technical decision over Marcus Brown, scoring 3 knockdowns in that particular fight. Where in those first 2 knockdowns, those were basically counter punches that caught Marcus Brown and put him down to the canvas. And of course, we saw that the vicious clash of heads that opened up Marcus Brown's eye there, so he had to leave the ring. So he couldn't be in the ring to hear that he lost by a technical decision. But we'll be able to discuss that more in depth on the Boxing Source radio show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday night, live on Blog Talk Radio. So hopefully you will tune in live to that. Subscribe to the Boxing Source channel here on YouTube. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.